Hi, I'm Feroz Khan, and welcome to Drag and Drop Low Code Unplugged, the podcast where we explore the game changing impact of low code in software development. Join me in insightful conversations with IT leaders and passionate low code enthusiasts who are at the forefront of this digital evolution. Together, we'll explore how early adoption of low code is giving businesses a competitive edge on a global scale. We'll discuss its impact on software development, dissect its role in transforming businesses, and uncover the ways in which it's reshaping career trajectories. So whether you're a seasoned IT professional or a curious enthusiast, be sure to tune in as we share success stories and unravel the mysteries of low code. Subscribe now and stay tuned for a front row seat to the revolution that's shaping the future of technology. So let's go. Hi Rodrigo, how are you?
Oh, how are you, Feroz? All good?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Very excited to talk with you in this podcast.
Well, yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. I know we only briefly met in New York, and I asked you, I think I asked you within 2 minutes of meeting you if you'd be a guest on the podcast. But we obviously got to spend some time together in Vegas as well, at the
hmm
Gartner kind of conference. So it's great to, I thought I'd give you some time from all the traveling away to then finally get you on. So it's a real pleasure to have you on.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm looking
Amazing.
forward.
It'd be good to start with a bit of, obviously I think everyone in the OutSystems ecosystem knows who you are, but it'd be good to kind of understand a bit more about, who you are, a bit more about Rodrigo outside of OutSystems.
Okay, outside of OutSystems, well, it's been a big part of my life, so I really need to go back
Yeah.
to talk about that. But yeah, let me see. Kind of my origin story, right? So, I mean, I follow the standard cliches of a software developer. So as a kid, I come from a big family, and I always was the one that would love to disassemble things. So I would take everything I could get my hands on, would open up, see how it works. In some occasions, I was able to fix some things for my family, so that was nice.
Yeah.
A variable success rate in that field. But yeah, the usual tinkering. And I've always loved computers, so that's a passion I've had since the first time I got in contact with them, the Spectrum and all of that. I didn't have one, so I would have to go to my friend's house to play with the computer. And
Yeah.
and and again, I was always the guy that would like to code, not only to play the games, but would also love to code. So I would spend all nighters at my friend's house just playing with the computer, see what it could do, learning that stuff, and so on. And yeah, and that so when it was time to decide my subject in college,
Yeah.
funny enough, it took me a while to decide to go to computer science. Actually, it was on the last day when I was filling up the forms that I decided, oh no, what I really like are computers, so I'm gonna go
Yeah.
to computer science, which came as a surprise to my mom. So that was fun. And yeah, then I had a great time in college. It was both from a personal standpoint. I met a lot of people, made a lot of friends that I still have nowadays. But I also learned a lot, and it was really crucial for then the stuff I learned. I then was able to apply that to OutSystems. So that was very cool. It was a great preparation.
Yeah. And when you finished with college, what was your kind of, first role outside of college? Were you kind of working for just as a developer for another company?
Yeah. So getting out of college, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So my first approach was actually to send my CV to the company I knew paid more. And,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
and that because like if I have no criteria, any criteria will
Yeah.
do. And so I went to that interview, and it was awful. It was a terrible interview. I was very nervous. I was wearing kind of like the suit. That's something I never do.
Yeah.
And so even talking with the person, I almost forgot my name. It was a very stressful moment. Didn't go well at all, and I'm actually very happy it turned out wrong,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then I stopped for a moment and I said, oh, I don't want to wear a suit. I prefer to do product rather than services, for sure. That's something
Mm.
I've always loved to do. And then talking with a friend of mine, I learned about Intervento. And Intervento was a product company based in Portugal, owned by Paulo Rosado. So
Yeah.
it was the first company that Paulo founded. And so I decided to go to an interview, and I loved the interview. I didn't bring a suit or anything. I just went
Yeah.
t-shirt because I thought it's product,
Yeah.
so they don't want people in suits. And
Sure.
it was a good choice, and I was very relaxed and had amazing conversations with the people there. Actually, uh, all the people that interviewed me are now in OutSystems, and
Oh,
so it
wow.
was this start. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was the start of this relation, and so I immediately started on a new project when I got to Intervento doing a product. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and it really motivated me to continue doing product. And yeah, later on, Intervent was bought by a company called EasyPhone, and this resulted in a new company called Altitude Software. They're still around, and they work in call centers mostly. Again, it was super useful to learn how a big company works because Intervent was like 30 people. It was a small company.
Mm.
Altitude is already a bigger company with a lot of departments, with the services area and commercial area, all of that. So it was a great learning experience until one day Paul asked me for a cup of coffee, and he told me about his idea and what he wanted to do, that he was thinking about starting a company, and I jumped on board immediately. It took me one cup of coffee to be convinced and to jump into this journey. Yeah.
So you had no kind of hesitations when he kind of pitched it to you, kind of ready to go. You're convinced.
I had one single hesitation that was I was going to getting married that year. So I was kind of a bit nervous that it would probably not be as stable as the job I had.
Mm.
But and so I talked with my current wife
Yeah.
and told her what was going on and that I was very excited, and she said, "Oh, we'll manage. It's fine. Go ahead." So that was the only the only thing,
Yeah.
but she
Yeah.
was very supportive, and so the next day I said yes, and here I am.
Wow. That's amazing. Obviously, you've been there for so long. Can you kind of talk us through obviously when you started till kind of you've worn a number of hats inside the
Yeah.
organization. So can you talk us through kind of where it started and how it's led to today where you're kind of dealing with the AI side of things?
Sure. So yeah, I was hired as a developer. It was my main role was to create what is now the OutSystems platform. But of course, when you're in a startup, you do everything. You do
Yeah.
whatever is needed. And
Yeah.
again, that's a great learning experience because I was designing icons with Paulo. We were designing the icons for Service Studio. I was when we still shipped software in CDs. So I was burning the CDs, printing the covers, gluing
Wow.
everything, building the boxes, and shipping them. Um, I was laying down the network cables, so in our office, on the ground, assembling everything, assembling the router, managing the domain. At the same time, I would go to press events and do demos for the press. So it was everything, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoy all those roles. And then of course we started growing and becoming bigger. So I went the usual evolution of a software developer, working alone, working in a small team, managing a small team, and so on, all the way up to managing the entire engineering team. And it was interesting because again it was a great experience, but it's really not what I love to do.
Yeah.
And so when I was managing the entire R&D team, I mean, I was doing an okay job, but I was not happy, and it could be done better. So at
Mm.
that time, I talked with Paul, and I decided to step down, and I went to a smaller team. At that time, we were having trouble with our maintenance team, and I went there to fix it, and it was very cool coming from a position where you're just managing a bunch of people to
Yeah.
suddenly be able to go back to the
Hands on.
to
Yeah.
the bits and bytes again, go hands
Yeah.
on and help a small team. I work much better with smaller teams and help a small team that was in trouble grow and become much more efficient. So that was a lot of fun. Um, but of course, at that point, I also wanted to grow a bit more, and I had a couple of challenges that I needed to fix in my professional life. One of them was I was very techy, so very involved in the engineering part, but not so much with customers. So I wanted to
Yeah.
learn more about the customers, and I had stage panic. So I could not do a presentation for the life of me. It's like this thing we're doing right now, I would not be able to do.
Really? Wow.
And so
Yeah.
I decided to go to marketing and kind of have a shock treatment on it. So going to marketing, I was doing content. So all the technical part that I had was useful to make the content for marketing, but also doing demos and presentations, going to events. And so it was great to practice talking in public, being able to share ideas, and losing the stage fright, but also
Yeah. Yeah.
connecting with customers. So suddenly I was listening to customers, people that were looking at the platform to buy it, people that were using the platform, and that was amazing. It was a real eye opener. Because when you're in engineering, there are a few things that seem very important that you spend hours discussing, and then you go and talk with the customer, and it's like, oh no, that doesn't matter at all. My problem
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
completely different, and
Yeah.
all these light bulb moments show up. So
Yeah.
that was very cool. It was a great experience. And yeah, then I went back to product. After I spent about 2 years in marketing. I went back to product again. We had an amazing. I was involved in the mobile version of the OutSystems platform. That was version 10, which was an amazing project. The team was unbelievable. We had so much fun, and we it was a huge leap forward. Um, what else did I do? Uh, then I worked on assembling a design team for the product. At that time, design was we had a couple of people doing design, but we didn't have a design team. So I helped assemble that first version of the design team. Um, and then I finally went to the role I have right now, which was PM. I started as a developer relations PM, um, which was very interesting because again, it was a different angle, right? It's not
Yeah.
from the customers, but it's from the people really using the platform. It was great because I got to talk with a bunch of our developers. I got to see how they use the platform, and that gave a bunch of ideas on improvements we could make to get more engagement. And then I had a kind of a hiatus of the PM experience, and I went to
Yeah.
manage the data team. And again, this sounds a bit random, but don't forget this is 20 years, and
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
it's been one company, but multiple
Yeah.
experiences,
Multiple
multiple jobs.
experiences. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at that time, we were starting something called Project X, which sounds very mysterious, but because it's just because we didn't have a better name for it.
Yeah.
The goal was to help our customers reach the first value as fast as possible. So that's one of the missions that we have, is to make people as productive as possible. And of course, we needed a lot of data to be able to
Yeah.
make good data-driven decisions. And so I helped there. It was a lot of fun. Again, I was able to learn a lot from other fields and from other people that work with me. And finally, we got to the AI age, and I was invited to do this role of product manager for AI, and it's been great. I think we have a lot of amazing things in this area. It's a very new space, lots of interest from a lot of people, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot of actually done things. So I
Yeah.
think we
Yeah.
are really in the forefront of it, and we're delivering working software that makes use of these new technologies. So it's been very exciting
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
in this role. And let's see. I don't know. I have no idea what's next, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
But
sure it will
like
be
you
fun.
said, yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah,
like you said, even though you've been at the one company, it's so various types of roles, right?
yeah,
So it feels like a
hmm
new challenge every time. It's not like you've kind of been a developer and grown within, the usual kind of career for a developer, tech lead, head of engineering, and just stay in that kind of side of thing. You've kind of moved about, challenged yourself, like you said, put yourself out of your comfort zone. I wouldn't have known you had stage fright because every time I've seen you this year, you've presented right in New York and Vegas.
yeah,
So no one would know that you had that issue in the past. And I'm interested to know, when you, because you were there from the beginning, like,
hmm
and usually when you work for a startup and, obviously, like you said, you're wearing a number of hats, doing a number of things. At what point did you feel, yeah, this thing's going to do really well? Like this thing's going to be successful. The product is amazing. Customers, we're really onto something here.
Um, Well, funny enough, since the beginning. I mean, since the beginning, I've believed in the vision, and I thought this was an amazing idea that would succeed. I was actually more optimistic because we did have some struggles in getting adoptions
Yeah.
and all of that. So I thought it would be much easier
Mm.
to how do I put this, to make people understand the benefits of the platform and having them
Yeah.
use it. So for me, it was pretty obvious that we were doing something amazing. And it's funny. At one point, I had coffee with one guy, and we were talking about the early days of OutSystems, and he asked me, "So what was your plan B?" And I said, "What do you mean?" Yeah, if OutSystems failed, what was your plan B? What was your idea? And I was like, I never thought about it. I never thought of OutSystems as it may fail. It's like I'm sure it's going to be a success. So I never had the perception that that something might go wrong because I truly believe in the product and in the vision, mostly in the vision. I think we can
Yeah.
solve this very big challenge for sure. So yeah, it was since the beginning.
That's
I
amazing.
I just
So,
believe
so,
on the vision. Yeah.
so you had your eggs all in the one basket, then pretty much you were kind of in 100%.
But without realizing it. So I was
Yeah,
never
yeah,
not like, oh my god, my eggs are in the same basket. No, it's like, oh no, this is the right way to go, so I'm just
yeah,
gonna do it. It was more
yeah,
like that. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, yeah. So in the kind of early days, obviously we know, the low code terms only come out, long ago, but in the early days when you were doing is more rapid application development, when you were going to customers, who didn't have a good kind of opinion of that, what was was there any challenges? How was it kind of convincing customers in those early days?
Yeah. It was actually very challenging because, as you mentioned, rapid application development had kind of a bad reputation. It promised a lot, and it was supposed to be simple and cheaper, but it was not. And so there was a lot of disappointment. And so people that looked at us as a rat tool, actually that was a turn off. And so it was very hard to do all the evangelization that we needed to do so that people understood the power of the platform. Um, and it was we started selling mostly in Portugal,
Yep.
which was nice because in Portugal you have a lot of time to talk with people. So we have a very our culture values relations a lot. So you can actually go and have lunch with someone and tell the whole story of what is OutSystems, how we show up. Usually, when we explain the product, people would tell us, "Oh, you're crazy. That's not possible." And then we would have the time to convince them, "No, but wait, we are really doing this, and it's real." And so you have that time to explain and to sell the vision, and that makes it easier. In markets like the US, where people are more, the elevator pitch culture, where you
Yeah.
have three
Yeah.
bullets that you have 30 seconds to explain everything.
Yeah.
It was much harder to have a crisp explanation when you would have to give the full context of what we were doing. So yeah, it was very challenging until low-code term was coined, which I believe was around 2014. I think that was the year when Forrester launched that name for the category. And so we were able to sell mostly at visionaries. So it was those type of people that look at us. They are willing to take a risk of betting in a
Yeah.
small company with a crazy product, and they understand that the benefit outweighs the risks. And so that's how we started both in Portugal and also in the Netherlands, because our first investors came from the Netherlands. So we had some customers there. And then, of course, as more people adopt, as word spread, things become easier. But this happens in each country. So it's completely different. Even within
Yeah.
Europe, the several countries in Europe, the way you sell and the relation with the customer and the type of culture changes a lot from Portugal to the Netherlands to Belgium to France. So it's always a challenge to grow.
Yeah.
And of course now we are very thankful that everybody knows what low code is. It makes it so much easier. You don't have to tell the first half of the story. You can start with what are the differentiators and why is OutSystems the best low code
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah. Did you feel, once obviously those early customers were quite critical to the company, because once you had a few customer success stories, did you feel that helped you? Because then obviously the early customers, you're showing them something, but there's not really any, like, like on the AI side at the minute, there's not much to kind
Hmm.
of show, but once you delivered some projects, did you feel that made the pitch a little bit easier?
Oh yeah, much easier. Um, because when you have real examples and success cases like we have of customers, you can show the true value of the platform. And funny enough, going back to the first customers, we still talk about them because they're still our customers.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
first OutSystems customer is still an OutSystems customer. So
Wow.
now we have experience of customers that have been using the platform for more than 20 years, and
Yeah,
they're
wow.
still successful and can build applications faster. And yeah, it's the same thing with AI. As earlier when we started, actually, when we started adding AI to the platform, we didn't tell anyone because nobody was thinking about AI before this whole Gen
Yeah,
AI craze, you know.
yeah,
So the first developments that we did, we just add them to the product because they would benefit our customers. But we told no one that it was AI because it was
yeah,
not relevant. And
yeah,
so now that we learn with the use cases and learn with our customers what they can do with these new technologies and all of that, of course, it helps a lot to have those examples to inspire them. Because a lot of people
yeah,
right now they are told by their bosses that look, you need to have AI by the end of the year, and they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
sure, but what can I do? What are the possibilities? And so
Yeah,
having the inspiration and showing them what is possible, giving them ideas, it's actually it's a very fun exercise. I've been doing a lot of conversations with customers that want to start using AI, and the best part of the conversation is when we start thinking about ideas. So here
mm,
are three things that we did. Here is the money we made. So can this help you? And then we start brainstorming from the simplest things to the more crazy thoughts. So that's a lot of fun. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely
And
use cases, real
yeah,
examples always helps.
yeah, yeah. And speaking of AI, obviously, like you said, you've released, a number of features, and it's within the platform. Can you talk us through some of the AI features that you've released so far and how they benefit one customers, but also obviously the developers are just as important.
Hmm.
They're doing the work. So can you talk us through those features and how they benefit customers and developers?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, so we think in AI features in three buckets. So the first one is AI powered applications. So we want to give our customers the ability to build applications that use AI to be more useful for their users. We have the AI to support the entire software development lifecycle, and then we have AI for development, so helping the developer be
Yeah,
more productive. And so for the AI powered applications, we very early on in the beginning, we started making connectors to AI services. And I'm talking about even traditional AI, machine learning
yeah,
and all of that
yeah,
stuff, even before Gen AI. So on the Forge, we have a bunch of components that people can use, take advantage of AI services and embed AI on their applications. And recently in March, we released AI Agent Builder. So AI Agent Builder is very much focused on Gen AI and in connecting to large language models and all of that. And it gives you an easy way to do the whole configuration that you need to do to connect to the large language models like Azure OpenAI or AWS Bedrock. Um, and then create the prompt, give the instructions to the model, connect to your own data sources, and you have a playground where you can test all of this, make sure it does what you want it to do, because
yeah,
Gen AI is very creative, so you need to tweak the way you ask the question and all of that. And when you're happy, we take that and this is translated into a low code element. So it's a very easy way for someone that knows a little bit about prompting to create an agent, to call an agent, and then this agent can be used across OutSystems applications by just having a visual element. So that's the latest thing, and we've been evolving that AI agent builder, and
yeah,
we're coming up with cool stuff around that. So on the software development lifecycle, we have AI Mentor Studio, which helps you. It looks into your applications and makes sure everything is okay in terms of the architecture, the performance, security, maintainability. So it's kind of AI-powered code reviewer that helps make sure your applications are good and healthy. And then for developers, we have, as I mentioned, a lot of things that we've been adding without necessarily calling it AI. You have
Yeah.
the smart guidance, so that smart search capability you have for the documentation. You have the when you are building business logic, you have those suggestions that tell you what's the next thing you should build. So that's all AI powered, as well as the properties. We have ways to fill up properties really fast, and of course you have that capability when you're building a database access in aggregate, where you type a sentence in English and it converts it into a database access. And that's actually kind of cool because that feature was the first time we used the large language model. And this was before large language models were cool. So we did this by the end
Yeah.
of 2022. And we have a open source model that we fine tune. We have it running in house, which was something very unique at the time. Of course, right now a bunch of people are doing this, but
Yeah.
it kind of shows that we're always testing and trying these new things, always with the goal of making people more productive and make it easier to build software. So that was pretty cool. And then of course Morpheus, which is going to be the next
Yes.
big thing in terms of AI and low code, the combination of the two. And of course, I'm very excited about that because I think it's really going to change the way people think about software development. It's going to compress the life cycle a lot. So I'm very curious to see what our customers are going to do with it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And with obviously, yeah, I'm guessing we'll find out more about Morpheus in Amsterdam, maybe, with things to kind of
Yes.
be shared. In regards to kind of, there's this, since the kind of AI buzzword has been buzzing around so much, and there's been topics about will AI replace low code? And, there's this whole, I'm interested to know kind of your personal stance on, how you think, AI, the role of AI will play within low code in the next kind of 2 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think it will replace low code. I think it will augment low code a lot. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited with Morpheus is because the way we are looking at it is from that perspective. In the sense that, so the way we see AI is always as something that augments the human. So we truly believe that the human in the loop is always something that you need to have. The role might change a little bit. The tasks that you do will change definitely because you will not be so concerned with the details. It's going to be more of you're going to bring the things AI cannot give you in terms of creativity and in terms of evaluating even everything that's outside to build a successful application. But you probably will not be touching on the details. That's what the AI is there for, to be the junior developer that
Yeah.
helps you create the boring stuff, but and this is important. I think AI is also going to help more seasoned developers. So it's not only about being the junior intern that does the boring code. It's also about
Yeah.
bringing inspiration to senior developers and bringing alternatives on what you can do in specific situations. And I think this kind of sets us apart from the most common way in which this is being, or these technologies are being used to help coders, because we believe that we you don't necessarily know what you want, right? So instead
Yeah.
of us demanding that you give us full instructions of exactly what you want and then generate based on that, we want to be one step ahead and give you a bunch of suggestions on things that are possible, and that makes sense in this specific scenario. This, of course, is very valuable for junior developers because now they can see the most common patterns in the factory, make sure they use things that are standard and so on, but also for senior developers where we give them more creative ideas on how, for instance, they can display information or create some business logic and so on. So it's really this always having someone there, in this case an AI influence, that helps you
Yeah.
build faster and better applications. And I truly think this visual part is very important, and it's a big difference in low code. We have that power in low code. Also because it enables us to ensure that whatever AI does actually works, which is something that, again, when we are talking about text-based languages, not doesn't happen all the time, So I've been doing some tests and I use it myself, and I know that when AI doesn't know the answer, it makes it up. So sometimes there are APIs that don't exist and stuff like that, and that's something that does not happen in low code. So whatever is generated by AI, because we are in control of the model, then we can validate and make sure that you are always in a valid state. The application always runs. So I'm very excited to see where this leads us, because I think these two things, the visual bit and the fact that it's always valid, will truly affect the productivity of developers, will make everything so much faster. So very curious to see what will happen.
What will happen? Yeah, definitely. And with the kind of AI features like AI Agent Builder, is there? Have you got like for example in Vegas you were talking with Roche, about how they've kind of used AI. Have you got one or two use cases you can talk about and how your customers have used the features?
Oh wow, yeah. So that's been a lot of fun because they have so many ideas. So you mentioned Roche, right? They built their own internal ChatGPT. But the twist and the part that I love about the Roche's ChatGPT is that you can have multiple humans in a conversation with an AI agent. So it's like it's more of it looks like kind of Slack where you're having a conversation, but then you have AI coming in and you ask stuff and it augments the capability of the conversation. It's really cool. So instead of you getting out of the conversation, going to Google, copy pasting a link, no, you just ask there and the AI responds. So I think that's very cool. Other things that we have a recruitment company that's doing something very cool with Gen AI, where they are matching. So they get a bunch of CVs, they get a bunch of job offerings, and what they do is they analyze the CVs and they match it to the job offerings, and this makes them very much more efficient, because sometimes people they apply for a job that's really not their top thing. It's just because they didn't go all the 10 pages of job offerings. They took that first. And this enables them to then recommend and say, look, your CV looks really perfect for this position. And this is a great way also to engage more people that send CVs, and of course get better resources for the people posting jobs. So that's pretty cool too. Ticket deflection, that's something that we at OutSystems are using, and it works tremendously well. So we've been able to save more than $40,000 a month on support costs thanks to this. So it's huge savings, just because when people go there, they can ask a question, and a lot of times we are able to answer with this new Gen AI technologies. Also from our side, we did something. This is something we've been trying to do for a long time, which is translating our forums to Japanese. So we have a big Japanese community, and they sometimes struggle with writing and reading English. And we really wanted to share the community with them. And we've tried in the past with other technologies, but turns out these Gen AI capabilities do the job really well. They have a caveat. So it's fun, because we tried first just ask AI to translate the post to Japanese, and then we would send the post translated to our Japanese colleagues, because I don't know Japanese, right? And they would go, well, the answer is, this is a bit weird. The translation is weird. The wording is bad, and all of that. And we analyzed the problem, and the issue was actually with the English. So because we have people from a lot of countries typing questions in forums, they get creative with their use of English and grammar and all
different
of that.
Styles,
Yeah, totally, and made up words and everything, which is fine for humans because we get it, right? But Gen AI got confused. And so what we do is actually first we ask Gen AI to take this English and make it good, proper English, and then we do the translation to Japanese, and that works so well. So we've had a lot of success with this. And we do the opposite also. So this means that our Japanese developers can read and answer in Japanese. Our English-speaking developers can then look at what they typed, answer, and the conversation continues with two different languages. So that's very exciting.
That's great, because obviously you've got such a big community there, and now they can feel a bit more involved and get involved in the global community rather than just amongst themselves.
Yeah, it's been great. The they've really the engagement they've been having since we put this feature out is amazing. We're very happy with it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's
we have some
exciting
more
to
use
see.
cases.
Yeah.
We have a services provider that I mean, everybody loves timesheets, right? So,
Yeah.
so, so,
Yeah.
so and these guys the people filling out the timesheets would do what most people do, which is they waited for Friday and then they would repeat the
Yeah.
same thing for the
Yeah.
entire days.
Yeah.
But they wanted to have some better information, mostly for analysis of what was going on in the projects and all of that.
Yeah.
So now they use a conversational interface where the person just goes there and is able to type something very quickly using Slack, something like I've worked for Customer X project for Monday morning, and that's it. That's all they need to type because then they use the Gen
Oh
AI
wow.
to turn that into proper information that then they put on the timesheet. So that's cool too. I think that's probably going to be an idea other people are going to steal.
Yeah, definitely. I think
Yeah.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously really exciting with all the things that are happening with AI and Gen AI. It's but you've been there, at the company for such a long time, and in that period, there's always going to be challenges. Can you talk through one or two major challenges that you've gone through in your kind of journey?
Oh, that's tough because there are so many. So and we already discussed a few, right? In terms of
Yeah,
in the early days, evangelizing the product, making sure people understood. Of course, we have a bunch of technical challenges. Everything from optimizing the code that you do in low code and make it as good or better than if you type by hand. Generating applications that scale to millions of users, managing the whole app life cycle. We have challenges is something that we have a lot. Of course, also organizational challenges.
yeah,
That's been interesting because uh, we want to keep the culture that we had since the beginning,
yeah,
more of a startup, relaxed culture, very focused on people understanding exactly what they're doing, giving them autonomy, and creating a good environment. And of course, as the organization scales, this becomes harder and harder.
yeah,
Uh, a few years ago, as we reached a certain number of people, we actually wrote a book to help people navigate the culture. It's the little book of the
yes,
small
I've
book
seen
of the
that.
big rules.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I downloaded it.
we
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
I think it's really interesting because in a simple and visually appealing way, it truly summarizes the culture that we want at OutSystems, and it made a bunch of conversations much easier because now
yeah,
you can always point to one of the rules that we have and say, look, you need to be aware of the small crisis, and
yeah,
everybody knows what we're talking about. So it
yeah,
created a vocabulary on the culture that makes everything much easier, and I think it was very important. But by now we are I don't even know 1,800 people or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so if you want to have a specific behavior, you really need to do that. And of course, then a lot of product challenges. Like
Yeah.
one of the it's very hard to design something that is simple to use, fast to use, and that's one of the goals. But also that gives you the power to build custom applications that are unique for you. And having this balance between power and control and simplicity and easiness, it's a lot of fun. So the discussions around this are always two-sided, right? The
Yeah, yeah,
more
yeah,
geeky people want to have full control of everything, every little thing, and then we have the oh no, but this should be automatic, hidden from you,
yeah,
and it's this balance I think that makes designing the product so much fun. So yeah,
yeah, yeah,
challenges we have them, we'll continue to have them. Of
yeah.
course,
Of course,
we've
yeah,
gone through a bunch of because we've been around for 23 years. We've been through all the crises, 2001,
yeah,
2008.
yeah, yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
That's true. Yeah,
it's
you're still
been
here, right? So, and, flipping the coin, kind of, on the kind of, and I'm sure you have several, but could you maybe discuss a few kind of your proudest moment? If one day, you're sitting on the beach and you're done, what would you look back on and think, yeah, that was a really good moment? Or forget the beach, maybe sailing. You're sailing a lot,
Maybe.
so maybe sailing somewhere. No Wi-Fi, no connection. Just thinking about a proud moment.
Oh, that's also tough because, I mean, of course, I'm very proud of the product as a whole. I think uh, we are truly unique, and of course, there are a few key moments for me. The first version, of course, what we
Yeah.
for some reason we call the first version G2.
Okay.
That was a very important moment for us. Um, uh, having I mean, launching a product that's being used to create other applications with success at the time in a completely different market, but it doesn't matter. It was like the first instance of the platform. So of
Yeah.
course that fills me up with joy and pride. As I mentioned, when I got out of marketing and went back to engineering and we
Yeah.
developed the whole mobile capabilities, that's also a very I'm very proud of that because I think
Yeah.
we it was a very tough challenge, um, especially at the time. The technology was not as mature
Yeah.
as it is right now. But we did it, and we
Yeah.
released an amazing version. And I still talk with people that have been with us since that time, and it's something they all remember is when we released
Yeah.
that version, and even the event around it. So at the Next Step conference when we
Yeah.
announced it was everything was really cool. So that's one of those moments that I cherish. And now it's Morpheus. So
Yeah.
the next one that I'm sure I'm going to be proud about is going to be
Yeah.
Morpheus.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very excited about what we're going to show at one, but I know it will keep going. And so I think during the next year we are going to have here a truly unique product that's going to be again something unique and visionary. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited
Yeah.
about
That's amazing.
that.
And it's funny you said about the mobile thing because obviously I've spoken to a number of people on the podcast, and when I tend to talk to them about, the time they've worked with OutSystems and what has been some breakthroughs, I'd say majority of the answers is mobile. That's a very common answer I get, and they talk about the mobile. So it's quite fitting that you also, who someone was involved in
Hmm.
that, also see that as a very proud moment.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And then of course, aside from the product, I would say the culture of the company. So the thing we were talking that even though we are 1800 and of course we have challenges and there are issues and
Yeah,
all of that, but the fact that I still love the people I work with and I look forward to the conversations and even not only working, but also we go out for dinner and we
yeah,
have
yeah,
fun together, and we are able to keep a culture where the relation between people is so healthy and that we have fun and we are able to disagree and argue on
yeah,
the technical part, but on a personal level, we are all good and
yeah. It's all
everybody's working
forgotten.
for the same vision and for with the same goal. I think that's pretty amazing, especially when I sometimes look outside to other companies that have
Yeah,
a less healthy culture.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
let's put it
yeah,
like that.
yeah. Exactly.
So
Yeah,
I'm very happy that even with the ups and downs and everything, we still manage to keep this culture. So that's something
yeah,
that also fills me with pride and uh, and I want to continue that way because
yeah.
that's what
Definitely,
makes me
definitely.
love to go to work. You know.
Amazing. And one thing I like to ask all my guests is, about obviously, um, I think low code is obviously very well known now. It's well known. There's less more of a conversation around what is low code now. I think and
Hmm.
it's evolved. It's evolved, but there's also still skeptics on the developer side, on the customer side, the C-level side. What would be your kind of message to the people today who are still skeptics of low code?
I think my major message is just try it out. I think one of the challenges that we have is that some people don't even give it a chance. So they have all these preconceptions, which I understand. I mean, we had a lot of promise on these tools and things that didn't work properly or that were below par in terms of the quality of the
Yeah,
applications delivered and all of that. But definitely, you need to give it a chance and try it out. A lot has changed since those times, and I think once and it needs to be a chance where you really apply this to a project, because that's when you see the benefits. Because early, when you start trying out, it's normal that you're not used to it. So there is some getting used to it, like when you try any other tool, right? So you need to give it a fair chance. Try it on a project, even if it's a personal project, but it's important that it's something complete. And then evaluate based on that. So don't discard it right away. It does make a lot of difference. And it will make your life much better. You'll be a happier person because you'll be able to deliver much faster. And you can always go back. And I have to admit, I'm a geek myself. I sometimes go back to traditional coding. I enjoy playing with it and so on. But it takes a lot of time when you start. I like it as a hobby, but to deliver serious software, I much more prefer low code because it allows me to be much faster and respond to my users much faster. So my advice would be just give it a shot and try it out in a real project.
Amazing. And just a final note, I know obviously there's probably a limited amount of information you can share, what's going to happen in the future, but is there anything, obviously there's going to be a lot of things released and spoken about in one. Was there anything, you can share that, the community can look forward to in the near future?
Mm-hmm. No, I would say Morpheus is definitely the big thing. But yeah, I don't want to spoil the surprise for one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
and also a lot of evolution around the AI agent builder. So you can already do a lot of things. So the use cases that we talked about here, you can already build them using AI agent builder. But we are augmenting the capabilities, making it much easier to use. So I think it's a good thing to keep an eye on. And start trying to embed Gen AI in applications. There are a lot of places where it can benefit, from simple things like chatbots to these more advanced scenarios that we were discussing, like sorting through CVs and all of that. So those two areas, I'm very excited to see what people will do.
Yeah, definitely. A lot to look forward to. Thank you for your time, Rodrigo. It was a real pleasure to have you. I think definitely it'd be great to speak again in the future, to see how things have evolved and, the direction, and, things are forever changing. So I'm sure we can have a whole different conversation in the future, so I think it'd be really useful to talk again, in the near future.
Sure, I would love to. This was a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on this podcast. I had a lot of fun.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Rodrigo.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode, which is brought to you by iTrack. We are a leading staffing firm that solely specializes in supplying both contract and permanent low-code professionals to organizations globally. Navigating the niche landscape of the low-code market requires the best talent, and we recognize its critical importance for our clients. Whether you're a company looking to strengthen your team, an individual seeking the next career move, or someone entirely new to the world of low-code, we're here for you. Our extensive experience and in-depth market knowledge enables us to quickly pinpoint the ideal candidates while offering expert advice and support at every stage of your low-code journey. Reach out to us through our website or connect with me directly on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to assist you. Thank you once again for joining us today. We'll be back next week with another insightful episode. Until then, take care.